Okay, hi everyone. You're watching another TBC 24/7 live broadcast on We Are Giving Away Cryptocurrency to You. My name is Paul, and today's date is August 14th, 2018, and this is episode 121. TBC is an acronym for the Billion Coin, a cryptocurrency that came out 2 years ago. I am assuming that most of you are watching this are familiar somewhat with cryptocurrency. So I want to first start out talking about a video I watched yesterday, well, actually earlier today, from Dave over at X22 Financial Report, just to kind of bring everything up about what's going on with the monetary system and the Federal Reserve and the Western banking system in the world today, and why we need to really pay attention to cryptocurrency and what it can do for us in protecting our wealth. So the dollar, he starts out saying that it's going to collapse and everyone should move out of the dollar and move into gold or crypto currencies. And we know that there's a lot of countries out there where they are moving away from the dollar and putting their resources into the crypto market to avoid sanctions. And Venezuela is one of these countries where Venezuela right now has created a cryptocurrency called the El Petro. And right now they are state-owned oil company. Their state-owned oil company, PDESA or PDBSA, they will start using the local cryptocurrency for all of its transactions beginning on August 20th. Okay, it's in 6 days. Now, we need to remember the central banks, they do not like the crypto market. It is way too hard to control something that is completely decentralized. And if you like, let's see, sometimes it's hard to read the subtitles. If you're like, oh no, it's centralized. No, cryptocurrencies are decentralized, meaning there's no control over it. No one in particular controls cryptocurrencies. The only thing that's centralized right now are the exchanges, okay, the coin market cap, and all the coins and cryptocurrencies that are being used to trade, which is over 1,600 just on coin market cap, are not centralized. And very soon, Dave says, those will be decentralized. And a central bank needs to control the creation of that currency or the coin or whatever you're going to have. They need centralization where everything comes from them. They can't have it where it's decentralized. They don't have control over it. They can't push the button and stop the button from creating currency. They just can't do this, and is why this is why people and why businesses are looking at this, because they realize this takes the control out of the central banker's hands. And we are seeing the beginning stages of this, and this will move forward as the fiat system dies. Now, is gold and silver important? Of course, it is gold and silver gold and silver has been around for thousands and thousands of years. And I mean, many people think like, oh, you can either have one or the other. No, that's not true. You can have both. Cryptocurrencies is a form of transacting on a low level. Gold is retaining your wealth, and this can be used on a higher level that gives people confidence. It is backed by something. And a lot of people think you can't have both, but you can now. What we're seeing here is that this entire system, it's breaking down. And we've been following all the different indicators, and we've looked in the past at the credit impulse, and China's credit impulse has been shrinking, and their shadow banking debt is collapsing. Okay, now he goes on to talk about China, and the reason why is because China was or is currently has a strong monetary system, and countries over on the other side of the world, I'm in America, are moving east instead of moving or sticking around with the US dollar. They're moving and looking towards the Chinese yuan, which is being backed by gold. Okay, but he mentions and talks about it. And let me just move forward here a little bit so I can get past this. Okay. They keep talking about a crash with the monetary system, but he starts to give us an analogy of like driving a car. And let me go on here. It says everything must crash. Well, that's not exactly true. When the credit impulse turns negative, it's very similar to taking your foot off the gas pedal. Now you're moving forward at, say, 60 miles per hour, and you take the foot off the gas pedal. Does your car come to a complete stop? No, it does not. What does it do? It rolls forward for a period of time. The central banks right now, they are taking their foot off the gas pedal. Okay, now you've noticed recently that the Fed has increased the interest rates. That's the first thing they do. And every time they do that, it destroys the economy. Okay, so keep that in mind. Let me go on here and say that we're starting to see certain things happen. The credit impulse is declining. We're starting to see real estate implode on itself. Retail is a complete and utter mess. I can't read the words, so I'm just going to say mess. The job situation, even though the numbers show us that we're at full employment, is absolutely ridiculous. We have a lot of part-time people. Wages are declining. The Fed, that's the private central bank, otherwise known as the Federal Reserve, is unwinding. And they've taken their foot off the gas pedal now. We're going at a certain speed, and since the central bank took their foot off the gas pedal, we are going to coast towards a collapse that a lot of people think, well, let me kind of rephrase that. We're going to coast forward towards a collapse that what has been happening, and a lot of people think, well, if they just start to unwind, and they just start to unwind, if they just start to do this, we should hit the collapse right away. No, what happens is we are moving at a certain speed where we're pumping everything up now. They've stopped, everything's starting to decline the opposite way now. They are trying to push this forward and accelerate the process with raising interest rates and pushing the entire system to the edge. Now we both have the central bank and the patriots fighting this out, and who's going to control the narrative. On the other hand, we see there are countries, they're moving away from the dollar. Now, a lot of people think, well, China needs to have the reserve currency. And once their reserve currency is set up, then the dollar will collapse. Not necessarily. Because as we can see, Russia and many other countries, all they have to do is turn towards their own currency, which they've been doing. Now, think about this for a second. And Lavrov actually even said this, that the US, with their gross misuse of the dollar, will lead to its weakening and force a switch to other national currencies if countries lose faith and believe the United States is misusing the dollar for nefarious purposes and placing sanctions on countries, starting wars, which they've been doing for a very long time. This has been the deep state. Countries, all they need to do is dump the dollar and go to their national currencies. And they don't even have to use their national currencies. Some other countries, like we've been seeing with Venezuela, and there's going to speak, maybe that's a typo, certainly others that might even switch to cryptocurrencies, and they can deal in cryptocurrencies. Some countries might use gold. The point is for the dollar to collapse. We don't have to have a collapse of the economy. We don't have to have China say that we are this reserve currency of the world. All of these different countries, all they have to do is say, you know something, we don't like what the US is doing with the dollar. We don't like the pressure they're putting on different countries. Now, keep in mind, of course, that when people say the US, they're talking about the Western central banking system, not our country or our people. Just to make that clear. Okay, we don't like the pressure, is what they're saying. They're putting on different countries. They've been doing this for a long time, and we're going to start using our national currencies. Russia, China, India, Syria, Iran, Egypt, you name it, Venezuela, Brazil, Argentina, and the rest of the world, all they need to do is then use their national currency. The EU countries, the European Union countries, will look at this and say, you know something, why are we using the euro? Why don't we use this, or we don't need to use this anymore? And obviously you're seeing that. The first one was England, right? Brexit. They don't want to use the euro. They want to go back to the pound. Same thing's happening in Italy. Okay. We don't need to use this anymore, is what Dave goes on to say about how the European Union nations are starting to realize this. And they're saying, let's use our national currencies. The euro completely fails or falls apart. The euro, the dollar, this is all part of the central banking system. We can see the call to move away from the dollar is already out there. And for a lot of countries, they can easily do this. Actually, the African nations are already saying there's no reason. And all these emergency emerging markets down in Africa, there's no reason to use the dollar. We deal with China. We deal with the yuan. Why don't we use the dollar? Why do we keep it in reserves? There's no reason for it. It's kind of hard to read this because there's never any periods and there could be typos. It looks like it says, do you purchase oil countries? Oh, reason for it to or for you to purchase oil. Countries can use the petrol you want, or they can use gold, or Venezuela, they can use cryptocurrency. And you can see how quickly everything starts to fall apart. Now, once countries stop using the dollar and they're starting to use their national currencies, they don't really have to keep the dollar in reserves. There's no reason for it. I mean, we can see that Russia and China are dealing outside the dollar. India is dealing outside the dollar. Iran is dealing outside the dollar. Venezuela is doing and dealing outside the dollar. All these countries are dealing outside the dollar. Yes, in some fashions, they're still using the dollar, but it's very easy to switch. And I know a lot of people think, well, this is a very difficult thing and it will take a lot of time to switch, and not really. I mean, think about how quickly everyone got on board with the dollar in the 70s to pay for oil. It's because they were forced. Now, hang on a second, a commercial just popped up. They were forced to do it. If they were forced to move the other way, guess what? They will do it. And once this happens, and these countries don't have the dollar in their reserves, where do those dollars go? They come back to the US. If they come back to the US, we see hyperinflation. That's the first thing we're going to see. What happens to the economy here in the United States, it collapses. So there's many ways for the economy to a collapse here in the United States, throughout Europe. And again, this is the central banker's economy. This is an economy that needs to be crashed one way or another. And if one plan doesn't work, they will resort to a different plan. Now, when we look at this and we can see all the different sanctions and all the pressure being put on all these different countries, it seems like they might be doing this on purpose, just like pushing the central bank to raise rates. And it looks like they have planned after plan to make sure that this system comes down. That's the whole point of this, and having the system come down to get out of the central banking system. Now remember, before, their entire push was to move to war and have the war mask everything else that was going on because the central banks, the deep state, they had full control of what was going on, and they were ready to move to a brand new system. There was no way out of it. And we could see that this was their plan before, and they were going to have the TPP and the rest where they can control all the countries. And most likely, once after this event that occurred, they would usher in a new system. And it looks like they were going to make the entire world use this system and not have all those different currencies, because when you are diversified throughout the world and you have all these different national currencies, very difficult to control. You have a central bank in each place. You have to manage the country. You have to put them into debt. If you have one currency, the central banks, well, it's centralized. It's much easier to control all these countries. And I'm going to stop for a second and just to remind you that Putin in Russia has control now of the central bank in his country. We here in the United States, our plan is to do the same thing. We have got to get rid of this central banking system that we have been enslaved for decades and centuries. And there was something else I wanted to say, but it slipped my mind. So let me just go on, and maybe I'll remember. Okay, it's much easier to control these countries. Oh, well, it's obvious that all this, anybody out there who's listening who may be familiar with, the New World Order, the global economy that these people, these bankers have wanted to set up, okay, that's exactly what they're going to do. Now, also remember, for those of us here in America, Hillary Clinton was supposed to win. There was no way Donald Trump was supposed to win the presidency, okay? Absolutely no way. So they had an 8-year plan under Hillary and even later. And the way they were going to mask the problems with their debt-based fiat system, which has been in America since 1971, when they had Nixon take us off the gold standard, was going to come down. And in order to mask it and bring it back up and save it and hang on to control, they were going to start a war. That was their plan. Okay. And you've seen what's happened even after Trump became president. They tried to start a war with North Korea. Okay. And that didn't work. Okay. Because Trump, in the meantime, was making peace with the help of China and Russia. And now we've got Iran to deal with, and we're going to bring peace to that country. We're bringing peace with our Russian friends in Syria. We're bringing peace in Afghanistan, and we're going to end that war. This is what we are doing under Trump. It is not their plan. Their plan is completely falling apart. The European Union, their euro, is falling apart. Okay, so let me go on and say countries are going to have their own currency. If they have their own currency, it's a little bit difficult to control. Think about the euro and all the countries in Europe. Most of them signed on to this. Well, they have the ability to control all those countries. They can put them into debt. They can make them, push austerity on the people. They can make them pass certain laws that, bribe certain individuals and government to go along with this agenda. And this was the beginning stages of it all. But as we can see, everything is changing right now. Countries now are looking at their national currencies. They're saying, something, it's more important that we use our national currency. It's more important than having the euro. It's more important than anything else, because when you use your own currency, you're not dependent on a reserve currency. You can control your country a lot better. Remember, the central banks don't like this. They don't like others having control because they want full control. When I say they, it's the central bank. And how do they control the world? Well, they were doing it through sanctions. This was coming out of the United States, the deep state, because everyone used the dollar. And it was very easy to place sanctions on these countries and to try to control the world in this fashion. And I have talked about what they did with Venezuela in many of my past videos. They don't care about humanity. They put the sanctions on Venezuela's ability to sell their oil because Venezuelan's government decided not to go along with their agenda, the central banks. And they said, well, if you don't, then we're going to sanction your ability to sell oil. You'll have no money, you'll have no food, and your people will starve to death. And that's exactly what happened. The people of Venezuela starved to death. So this is why they came out with a cryptocurrency, and they backed it with their own gold. And now they're getting around those sanctions. Okay? And other countries are taking real good notice of what's going on. Okay, when countries started to move away from the dollar, and maybe they wanted to sell oil using something else, well, force was used to push them back on the dollar and say, no, you will transact with the dollar. You will sell the oil using the dollar. Everything is changing right now, and we can see already with Russia saying that, listen, it's time to move away from the dollar. It's time to use the national currency. There's no reason to have the reserve currency. We have other means of paying for oil, other means of transacting. We have other payment systems. We have everything set up in other places. There's no reason to continue on with the system the way it was. This way, if we move away from the system, the central bankers, the deep state, they lose control. And it looks like this is the push, as we can see it, that one way out of getting rid of the central banks, one way out of getting rid of the deep state, is to have every country go back to their national currencies. Don't depend on a reserve currency. Pay for oil using everything but the dollar. Any other currency, crypto, currency, gold, silver, doesn't make a difference. And we can see that this is a very big push right now. And it looks like Russia, along with China, using the United States, the pushes to get rid of the central banks. And I believe, this is Dave saying, these countries are working together. Remember, Putin took over the private Western central bank. He's called the shots in his country. Right now, I believe Trump is doing the same thing. And I think all of this together is going to move, is to try to push out the central banking system. Yes, it's not going to be good times for many people, many of the countries, because there's going to be an adjustment period, okay, a transition period. What is going to be very, very difficult, and the debt that we've known for a long time and the dollar that we've used for a long time, well, the value is going to continually decline, and eventually it's going to probably get so bad that no one would even want to use the dollar because of inflation, which means it takes a lot more dollars to buy the piece of merchandise. And we can see where now, with the credit impulse at a negative area for a very long time now, it's not just like the last month or so. It's been there for quite a while. It means that the central banks, they've taken their foot off the pedal. We're coasting towards the collapse. They've been trying to push this agenda by speeding it up with raising interest rates, unwinding, and again, but we have both sides now fighting for the narrative. That would be Trump and the Patriots and the central banking system. For when this system comes down, so get ready, get prepared, because we are headed in this direction. Okay, that's basically what he had to say today. I'll go ahead and put his link if you want to subscribe to his channel below. I highly recommend. He's one of the better sources out there. And he does usually 2 videos a day, one on global economics and one on geopolitics. So he'll do 2 different videos. And both of them are well worth taking the time. They're usually less than a half hour. And it will bring you up to date if you are an individual that's like-minded, you want freedom, you want to be back in control of your lives, you want to give your children and grandchildren freedom in their lives, you want to leave them wealth. All these things can now happen because of technology. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the blockchain technology that was created by an individual who called himself Satoshi Nakamoto in 2009. So it's been 9 years. And a couple of years ago, the masses started to come in because they finally realized it was real money. And it's kind of ridiculous. I'm going to talk about myself. When I first found out about Bitcoin, which was the first coin, is what Satoshi Nakamoto created after he created the blockchain technology. He created a blockchain platform in order to create his cryptocurrency. And 2 years later, I found out about it and I said, internet money, that's crazy. And I didn't check into it. And how absolutely stupid was that? Because that's all we do is use internet money. Every time we send money through PayPal, we do bank-to-bank wires, we use our Visa and MasterCard at cash registers. That's all digital, okay? That's what we deal in. Yes, we have some cash sometimes in our pockets and some coins, but everything we do all over the world, when we buy something from Amazon, we're using a Visa or MasterCard. It's all digital money. So why didn't I realize that, okay, this is digital money. The US dollar is digital money. What is this? And just take a look at it. But no, I didn't. Because I don't know why. I really don't know why. I should have known better. Because I know all about our central banking system. I was raised knowing and being aware of that system. The difference between communism and capitalism and the greed and the horror that comes with capitalism. It's not like one is greater than the other or one is worse than the other. They just work differently. Overall, yes, you definitely want capitalism. You don't want anything to do with communism or socialism. I'll take capitalism any day of the world, any day of the world. But capitalism can still be used by the greedy to control people. We have a world population of 7.6 billion people. We have only 2,200 billionaires. It's ridiculous. That's the problem with the world. That's why we have developing countries. And I don't understand. And they don't understand. They look at America, they look at Britain, they look at Australia, they look at New Zealand, they look at Canada, and they say, why don't our countries look like that? Why am I not waking up and looking like Paul looks like on this video, sitting there at his desk in a nice home with a guitar behind me? Why is it I'm not waking up like that? Okay? And this is what is sickening. And what have we been able to do about it? Nothing. We have never been in a position to do anything about it until now with the blockchain technology. Now the world is going to change, whether we like it or not. And most of us like it because most of us don't like being slaves to the central bankers. We want to own our own politicians. We don't want them to own them. We don't want them to own our government. We don't want them to own our money. We want to own our politicians. We want to own our government, and we want to own our own money. Whether it's gold-backed currency or whether it's cryptocurrency, it's real money. Okay, so our coin, the Billion coin, came out 2 years ago and did not, on purpose, be put on the coin market cap to be traded. Because like all the other cryptocurrencies that are on that market, they can be manipulated in their value by the very wealthy bankers. All they have to do, and they see cryptocurrency as a complete threat to them because it's not their money. They didn't make it. Satoshi Nakamoto made the first one, Bitcoin. And then other people came along and said, well, geez, if he can do it, I can do it. And they took his same platform and they made coins. And then they, as time went on, you know that technology doubles every 18 months. So people started creating faster and better blockchain platforms. And now it's been 9 years. And people are very, very interested. But there's this problem. It's on a market, like the stock market. That's controlled by the central banking system. So what they do in order to compensate for that threat of cryptocurrency is they'll come in and they'll buy it because they've got money. They'll buy all the Bitcoin they can. That raises the price up. We saw that happen last year. The price of Bitcoin went up to almost 20,000 a coin. Okay, when in the beginning of the year, I think it was around $400 of January 2017. It went up in 1 year to almost $20,000. Then as soon as this year came along, it crashed. They sold their coins, threw them back into the market. Everybody lost a bunch of money. The masses that didn't understand how markets work, or the ones that just, okay, I'm a gambler, I'm going to take a risk. And now the price got down. I think it went down as far as below $5,000 before it kind of stabled down and started to go back up slowly again. Now it's around 8,000. I haven't looked for a week. But the point is, that's what they do. And as they continue to buy back their coins, they are also buying back the people who lost their coins. And they do this over and over and over again. It's the pump and dump system of the stock market. They'll just do it with the coin market. And over time, they're very patient. At least they have been. They're kind of freaking out now. But over time, that's how they get the people's wealth and stay in control. It's all they can do with cryptocurrency, okay, because they're not making it. They're trying to. They came out with the Ripple coin. It's not even on a blockchain. It's an open source coin, but it's not on a blockchain. So do your due diligence when and if you want to play that game and deal with Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency that's on a market. And just be aware that the best method to do if you're going to purchase cryptocurrency that's on a market is to purchase it with the mindset of hanging on to it, period, for the long term. And this is one position where, well, let me just explain this real quick. Bitcoin has about 12 million people in the world using it. That's all, just 12 million. But with that 12 million, they have a small economy, meaning there are places that will accept Bitcoin, right? Not just peer-to-peer anymore, which is what they started out for years just doing, buying and selling among themselves. Then they started to get a few retailers and merchants and service providers saying, well, I know about Bitcoin. I have some myself. I'll take some. You can pay me for it. I've got enough cash flows going through my business that I don't need to turn around and use a little bit of Bitcoin that somebody might bring to me and use it to buy products to sell again. No, I can just throw that Bitcoin in the wallet and let it sit there, because I know, because of supply and demand alone, since Bitcoin's only going to make 21 million coins, that is going to go up in value if I just let it sit. A year from now, it's going to go up. A year from later, it's going to go up. So they're in a really nice position. When you can accept Bitcoin, okay, and know that if you just hang on to it, it's going to go up over time, that's pretty good. But you know what's better? Our coin, because it's not on a market. Our coin has been designed by an algorithm. It's like a formula. We place the value of our coin on you and I, people. Okay, that's why we call it the billion coin, because we're looking for 1 billion people on this planet out of 7.6 that will take our coin and have it in their hands. Because when 1 billion people have Kringle coins, that's a division of our billion coin, like Satoshi is a division of Bitcoin. When they are using and have all this Kringle coins in their hands, then everybody in the world will be using Kringles. Now, they could be using other cash systems. They can be using Bitcoin. They can be using any kind of gold-backed currency system. Money doesn't compete against money. Okay, the more money, not currency, not fiat, but the more money, the better, no matter how it comes. It gives us freedom. It puts the power back into our hands, the people, and we can do whatever we want with it. We can not only do everything that's being done now, but we don't need the government to do it for us. Okay? Not only that, but we can provide 100% abundance to every man, woman, and child on the planet. Complete and full abundance. No more poverty. No more hunger. No more any of that. Okay? All these developing countries can now be developed like America. So that is why we call ourselves the billion coin. We're looking for 1 billion people. Our first 1 billion people. We're only going to make 1 billion coins. And we raise the value of our coin by the value of people. Every time a person joins, whether they're a day-old baby or the oldest person in the world, it raises the value of each coin by the value of a grain of gold. A grain of gold is the smallest division of gold, smallest measurement. Okay, right now a grain of gold yesterday was worth $2.53. So every time a person joins, it raises the value of our coin by $2.50. Let's just round it off to 250, okay? All right, so if 100 people join today, and already 100 people have joined already, we have hundreds of thousands joining every day, okay? In fact, when we started giving the coin away last year, we had got up to close to 50,000 people joining the day, okay? But we ran into some technical issues, just like Bitcoin did, because we were on that old blockchain platform. And we were doing so many transactions that it bogged the system down. But admin was already, we call admin, the creators of our coin, we call them admin. In fact, we picked one and call him Chris Kringle, because he gives the gift out. So he has all the coins in his wallet. He doesn't have any effect over the value, because they're in the creator's wallet. They're not in the people's wallets. But when they go over and they get into our wallets, that raises the value. That turns it into value. So if 100 people joined up today, the coin would go up $250 per coin. If 1,000 people joined, it would go up $2,500 per coin. That's per Bitcoin. Now, if gold stayed the same price as it is today in 2 or 3 years when we hit our first billion people, and we're only making 1 billion coins, and each one of those coins is going to be worth $2.5 billion. So if you have one coin, you'll be a multi-billionaire. Okay, if you have half a coin, like, half a coin, then you'll be worth 1 billion. Okay, so we are now, and we have been since day one, 2.5 years ago, in the distribution phase. Okay, our ship has not left the dock like Bitcoin has. You used to be able to buy Bitcoin for what, a tenth of a penny when it first came out. That's the way all the coins start out, right? And then they grow in value by more people buying them, being traded on an exchange, whatever. And this is why people create coins, because they know they can create an ICO, an initial coin offering, through the Security and Exchange Commission, do all their paperwork, have investors come in, and these investors will most likely double their money as soon as they put it on the coin market cap. But then anything can happen to it after that. Okay? It becomes a non-security at that point, and it just becomes money. Our coin doesn't have to fool around with any of that. It's just money. Okay? As long as we get it into your hands. So our goal is to create first 1 million billionaires, not 2,200, 1 million billionaires. And then after that, we're going to create 1 billion millionaires, and they will be multimillionaires and multi-billionaires. Okay, so we need to get the word out that this is what we are. And by the way, we did build a brand new 2.0 blockchain. And we can do transaction speeds as fast as Visa and MasterCard can, and they are completely digital, meaning they're not on a blockchain. It's just electricity and servers, right? 2,000 to 3,000 transactions a second is what they're averaging because of the population of the world. All right, during Christmas season, they get up to about 6,000 transactions per second with people using Visa and MasterCard all over the world at the same time. They can get up to 50,000 if there was enough people doing that, right? But no blockchain can do that. But our blockchain can do it. Right now, we're averaging 2,000 to 3,000 transactions per second, the same as Visa and MasterCard with our new blockchain. And it's just because technology has grown. And you're going to see more and more coins come out that will be able to match that. Okay, now much more than 3,000 per second, not yet. But each year that goes by, we'll get better and better. But right now, what I'm telling you is that we already have a coin that can be used all over the world at the same time. It can already eliminate global poverty if it was just in 1 billion people's hands. It would have a massive economy if it was just double what Bitcoin had. We had 24 million people. We had 60 million people. We had 90 million people, and we could get there in 1 year. We've come from 171 stakeholders 2 years ago to 100,000 after our first year. We started giving the coin away, not we. We can't do that. We as members cannot give the coin away. We cannot discount the price of our coin and sell it cheaper than what it's supposed to be at that day, because it's based on membership, and every day that price goes up. It never goes down. But the admin, he can do what he wants with that coin, and it's not going to affect the price. Okay, so he gives it away. When he started giving it away 1.5 years ago, we got to 3 million people. We grew 30 times. Okay, but most of those people got a free gift, and they didn't have to pay a dime for it. And they didn't pay attention to what they had. They never even bothered to go and check to see how the price of it and the value of it was going up every day. And they didn't tell any of their friends. They didn't tell any of their family members. And so they didn't get to the point where we meaning the admin again, started coming out with all these promotions to get full coins into the people's hands, because our coin went up to $8 million in value because of the 3 million members. Okay. It went up to $8 million per coin. Very few people can buy a coin now, but you don't have to, because admin is still giving it away. Giving away full coins. All you have to do is come in and get involved and tell other people. Tell your family, your spouse, your children, your brothers, your sisters, your extended family, your friends. We will show you how, and I'm going to start getting into that tomorrow. I'm going to show you a plan and how simple it is for us to do, for any of us to do this. We're going to do it. We're just looking for 1 billion like-minded individuals, and we know there's over 4 billion like-minded individuals. We only need 1 billion people. Okay? And we started out with a 5-year plan. We're 2.5 years into it. We're right on schedule. 2.5 years from now, we'll be at 1 billion people. We will have a full world economy and no more poverty. Just using our coin. Okay? It doesn't matter what other countries do and what other people do. That's just more better. The point is to get rid of the central banking system that has controlled us and other countries and kept us and other countries in poverty, especially these other countries where they were just able to get away with it. There was nothing strong enough. They weren't strong enough to resist. They weren't strong enough to do anything about it. Okay, I'm going to go and check real fast to see if anybody has any questions before I end this session. Hey, Jack, nice to see you. Glad you were here. I don't see any questions, so I'm going to end this by telling you guys to go down, obviously, new people who have seen this video for the first time. And maybe you are familiar, which I'm sure you are, with cryptocurrency, but you haven't heard of the Billion coin. Okay? I came across it 1.5 years ago after I had gotten finally involved in the Bitcoin and purchased some Satoshi. Okay? I was doing more research on it, and I came across a video suggesting I watch this TBC. And I don't remember seeing TBC on the coin market 1.5 years ago. So I go, what is TBC? And then it said the Billion coin. And I said, I know I've never heard of the Billion coin. What is this? So I looked. And basically the rest is history, because then, by then I had realized how dumb I was when it came to cryptocurrency, period. I understood the blockchain technology enough to realize it was 100% real. It wasn't going away. It was only going to get better. It was just like the internet when it came. It never went away. It only got better. And I got over it real fast, my stupidity, and was excited that at least I got involved 2 years ago with cryptocurrency. And because of that, I discovered the Billion coin. So go down below in the description below the video here. You'll find all the links where you can go and sign up for free and get your free gift of Kringles. Right now, it's worth $2,100. We're giving it away free. In fact, right now, when I'm making this video, until the 21st of this month, August of 2018, we're giving 500% more away. So right now, you can get $10,500 worth of Kringles until the 21st. Then it will go back to the 2,100. And of course, those prices always go up, right? Okay. Now, there's a particular way that he does it. You'll find out all about it. And I've talked about it in other videos. You can go to my channel and watch all the videos you want. I'm so passionate that I try to do these videos every day. And we want people to do at least one a week. Okay, just to get the word out, because we're giving wealth away. We're giving our currency away. And that may sound, well, that's too good to be true. But when you realize, well, wait a second, how else are they going to raise the value of their coin unless they give it to us? Unless they have somewhere where we could purchase a small amount, and they're going to give us this huge reward and maybe even a full coin, because it's not going to do them any good, the owners of this coin, unless we, the people, have it. Okay? It's common sense. As soon as you start to realize that, it's pure logic. Then you realize it's not too good to be true. And all the information is below. We will help you. I will help you. My contact information is there. We'll walk you through everything. It's very simple. My Facebook link is there. Come join me on Facebook. All right. That's it. I'm scheduled, as far as I know. What is tomorrow? Wednesday. Same time, which is usually around 5 p.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time, because I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada, USA. So thank you for watching. If you watched this long, I love all you guys. And have a great evening, day, wherever you're at. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.